It is 8:34, and I'm going to call the regular meeting to order. We already did the pledge, so we don't need to do that. Correspondence. We have no correspondence that I'm aware of. Public comment for sessions set on tonight's agenda. There are none. No presentations or guests. I think we...
Yeah, the presentation.
Okie dokies. Superintendent's report.
The joys of technology. A couple of things to report to the board. You may remember way back in late fall, I think, we talked about recommendations for tenure for teachers, and the board asked for more detailed information than they had received in the past. So what you'll receive this week is recommendations from Mr. Pulley and Mrs. Williams on the teachers they're recommending for tenure, and we'll have backup material with it at our next meeting on May 17th. The board will have a chance to ask questions in executive session about anything, the teachers who are recommended, and then we'll schedule a vote on June 3rd to appoint them to tenure. So we just wanted you to know what was going on with that. A couple of meetings ago, I mentioned that we had met with a representative Train, the HVAC company, and they were doing an assessment to see whether we could figure out a project to do that was cost effective and use some of the federal money that Bob talked about earlier and leftover money from the current building project. And they did an assessment, and we were looking in particular at the secondary school library. And they just said that was a much more complex project that was going to cost a lot more money because of the way it's designed, opening up into the corridors on both sides. So we're not going to be able to proceed with that. But speaking of capital projects, phase 2 started yesterday. They're demoing the old home ec room as we speak, and there'll be some other things starting fairly soon, we hope. The pavers out in the front by around June 1st, we're hoping, and some other demo work later this month. And then lastly, we'll share it with you digitally. I don't think we have yet. There's an editorial in the Sullivan County Democrat about care closets in the other school districts. And that's been a topic of concern among the community here for the last several weeks. And we will post that so that everyone can read it. When we tried to print it out, it was by a 4-point font and it was fuzzy, so we couldn't really see it. So we'll do it digitally and get it to you. But it really describes the purpose in the other districts, and we're mimicking them. So it should be clear to members of the community also about why we're doing this and the importance to kids to provide personal hygiene items and certain clothing items. So anyway, if there are no questions, I'm done.
Thank you, Dr. Silver. Next up, we have items that the board wants pulled from tonight's agenda. There are none. Consent agenda. I need a motion. Motion, Randy. Second, Rose. Any discussion? Please proceed to vote. That was unanimous. Thank you. Next up, we have board committee reports. I don't believe any committees have met. Nope. Old business. We have no old business. Moving on to public comment for session for items that are not on tonight's agenda. We have 2 people who have signed up to speak. I would just like to remind everyone of the board policy 1230 for public comment at board meetings. The limited time for each speaker is 5 minutes. First up, we have Miss Justine Scully.
Is that it? Okay. On February 17th, I approached the board with a request that you work on a policy that provides a specific guideline with respect to social media and appropriate conduct on social media and teachers. Dr. Silver, thank you. I know you're going to call me in the morning about that, but there were a lot of concerned people in the community, and I just wanted to know, I know Joe and Erin, you said you were going to work on that, so I thought maybe we could get an update on your progress and where that stands.
We have no update for you at this time.
Okay, thank you, and I'll wait to hear from you tomorrow, Dr. Silver.
What I was talking to Justine about was I have a phone conference with our attorneys to review a number of policies tomorrow, and that is one of them. And so what I don't know is whether there's any prohibition with social media policies, because we couldn't find any in New York State and other school districts. So I will have information soon.
Okay, thank you.
Next up, we have Mr. George Dean. You have 5 minutes.
Can everyone hear me? I believe in respect. Personal politics should be left out of the classroom. Students should be taught how to think, not what to think. Everyone has an opinion, that's a guarantee, but we must respect not to push our viewpoints on others. We need to reject harmful indoctrination. A prime example of that is a parent called me and said their child came home and said the student was told by the advisor that Benghazi never happened. We lost 4 Americans there. Benghazi did happen. We need to eliminate fear in our school. Children deserve to feel safe from retaliation and bullying, freedom to hold their unique viewpoints and values. They deserve to be in an environment free of substances and vaping. They deserve the privilege of safe and accessible bathrooms. We must continue to invest in extracurricular activities and phenomenal athletics and arts program. These programs bring joy to our hearts and life to our school. They bring hope for all our students. Music heals was the slogan at this year's All-County Music Festival. These words have never been more appropriate. Physical activity and socialization are crucial for a strong mental health, yet our secondary students are spending lunchtime at their desks a majority of the time. We need to ensure that they receive a proper recess during their lunch period and away from their desk, as was always the way Tri-Valley. I would like to see the students get outdoors each day. Responsible budgeting and planning are critical. We have always managed our growth in a fiscally responsible way, including our state-of-the-art theater, which we enjoyed this evening very much. And thank you for having us here. And the athletic facilities. Ask yourself, why has our enrollment decreased by almost 30%? Yet our budget nearing $36 million continues to increase. We must review all costs diligently, line by line. Ask questions and determine every opportunity to save costs. Reduce the burden on taxpayers. And who, by the way, never defeated a budget here. So we do have support. For example, keeping buses on site during the day could offer tremendous savings on fuel. And it would be beneficial in the event of an emergency, reduce traffic, congestion on 55, and reduce our carbon footprint. A win-win for all. We do pay for fuel here at Tri-Valley separately. We should return to hiring our Tri-Valley graduates who possess the required credentials. The practice of hiring primary out of district sends the wrong message that our graduates are not employable, and it lends to a shortage in extracurricular advisors and coaches. Let's give people reasons to want to stay in this district and raise their families. I think that was mentioned by another candidate. We need to bring back driver ed. You can't put a price tag on saving a child's life. You cannot put a price tag on saving a child's life. My promise to you is to set in motion collaboration between our teachers, our community, and our school leaders so that we can ensure that all kids have the best opportunity to succeed. Yes, there is a chain of command. The board enacts policy, and the superintendent carries out the policy and state ed's mandates. But first and foremost, the school board represents the community. Contrary to statements by the federal government, parents should not be viewed as domestic terrorists. Community feedback must be heard, acknowledged, and responded in a timely and respectful manner. Some will say that we need younger board members to represent the community, but this philosophy has not served us well over the past 15 years. The community would be better served by a board that possesses a broad range of backgrounds and skill sets. Just as our original charter intended, most school districts have 7 board seats. Tri-Valley has 9. 1 seat for each 9 school districts or 9 schoolhouses when this district was formed, so that it is fully represented by all our community. Never underestimate the value of wisdom, which can only be gathered through years of experience. I am a lifelong resident of Neversink. I have a perspective of a student who once walked these halls, and a parent of 4 children who graduated from this school. I have experience serving as a Sullivan County School Board representative. I had the honor of serving on the Tri-Valley Board of Education for 15 years, from 1990 to 2005. I missed a total of 3 board meetings. 3 board meetings. I missed a lot of family events, but you elected me to this board. The responsibility lies with the board. And those times I missed was from family emergencies. In 2005, I was honored with Excellent in School Board Service Award from the Mid-Hudson Study Council. This time period from 1990 to 2005 yielded tremendous growth and prosperity for our school district. Our students were thriving. Our academics were top-notch. Under the direction of our board and leadership of our school administrators, our school district built this theater that we're in today. And our student courtyard, the ag and tech wing, the second greenhouse, and the maintenance and administration buildings. We constructed the track and our prize library and media center. We were doers and thinkers. We produced tangible results. With diligent planning, many hours of dedication, and capable minds, we achieved our vision of a better future for our children. This would not be possible with the overwhelming support of our community. Some of our board meetings, they started at 8, generally left at 11, but we were in here till 1, 2 o'clock to discuss the things that need to be discussed. As a local business owner and operator in my early law enforcement career and having had contact with many youths, I have seen life on both sides of the coin. I have seen how precious life is and how each situation is unique. I have seen youth struggling to get on the right track and how vital a good, solid education is for them. I believe that all of us have a responsibility to invest in our children and their future. I have the time to give of myself, and I have the concern for our youth and community to achieve a high standard of education. I have 11 grandchildren in this school district who give me the passion to fight for their future and the future of all Tri-Valley students. I will listen. I will respond. I will advocate for your children. I am not on Facebook. I am face-to-face. George Washington once said, "The general is only as good as his troops." As parents and taxpayers, you must stay engaged. This is probably one of the most important elections that I recall. My name is George Dean. I'm honored and humbled by your support. Thank you for the time this evening, and thank you to the board.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Next, we have announcements, reminders, and upcoming events. Mr. Poli?
We are entering, I always say this, into the busy time. I look at my calendar and there are not many free nights between now and June 25th. But I want to take a moment, and it is Teacher Appreciation Week, and I stole from a graphic in another email, and it really gives you thought, is without teachers, there would be no other professions. So certainly thankful for our teachers. May 4th through the 7th is our FFA plant sale. This Saturday, May 7th, is the track invitational, and there are 11 schools that will be attending that. Next week, May 10th, we have a workshop day for the 7th and 8th grade, which students will have an opportunity to hear from a number of people from the community and different hobbies and career paths. We hosted Senator Martucci last Thursday, and as a result, our civics and social justice class have been invited by Assemblywoman Gunther and Senator Martucci to visit the Capitol on the 24th. Our FBLA students just got back from state competition, and we had 4 students who will be moving on to nationals: Ben Smith, Colin Metnich, Teresa Conway, and Thomas Hoteling. The FBLA Chicken Barbecue is May 17th. That is back. I believe it's $14, and you can get it from any of the FBLA students' tickets. And lastly, our FFA will be going to the state convention May 11th through the 14th. And Tri-Valley will be proudly proclaimed as the #1 FFA program in New York State. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Poli. Ms. Williams?
Good evening, everyone. So I've been saving all of our end-of-year events. I don't want to fill you in on all of the fun that's coming, but before I get to that list, I'd like to thank the PTO. This past weekend, they sponsored their Someone Special dance on Friday and Saturday evening. It was a very successful event, so much so that the students were still talking about it this week when they returned to school. So I would like to thank them. Also this weekend, I know that Mrs. Kelly had mentioned it last time we met, but all the advertisements are out for the Little League's 50th anniversary. They will be honoring their 50th anniversary with their opening day as well. So the fields will be filled with all of the students ready to play for the first time, breaking in their cleats. There is a whole day worth of adventure, including the day beginning with the parade. So if anybody is available to join at any point during the day, it will be an all-day affair. Finally, some things going on within the building. We're entering our field trip season. On May 12th, our 5th graders will be attending the Baseball Hall of Fame. They're going to be going to Cooperstown. We also have some of our in-house field trips going on for some of our students, and that includes some planting that will be happening by some of our teachers who are on staff. They'll be actually hosting that. So that is a great opportunity for students to be able to actually engage with the teachers in an extracurricular type activity, but within the building. And I'm very excited. This is something that I've been passionate about trying to get off the ground, and with all of our, with our counseling staff and some of our counseling interns, we were able to put together our first annual career day that will be taking place. So all of our interns, and with the help of our school counselor, Nicole Temple, they've been able to reach out to multiple fields and are going to be having a full day for UPK and second, as well as a day allocated for grades 3 through 6, where students are going to have the opportunity to visit with multiple careers and representatives that will be coming in. It's always fun to ask students what they want to be when they grow up, and you usually get the typical policeman, fireman, but we're really trying to go ahead and start to expand that imagination a little bit. Some of the professionals that are going to be coming in will be bringing samples. For instance, we have a beautician that will be coming in, showing the different tools that she uses for the different clientele that come in. So that I'm just hoping none of the students use their own scissors to cut hair, because it is elementary school. But we want to encourage them to, again, grow that imagination. And all of the exciting things coming up in June, I will save those until we get a little bit closer. I don't want to give away all of our secrets at this time. But again, as Mr. Pulley said, I'd like to thank all of our teachers for the great work that they do in the classroom and outside every day that they show up. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. Any other administrators? No? Okay. Next up, we have new business, cafeteria pricing discussion. Does anyone have anything that they would like to discuss regarding that?
There we go. I inadvertently had not presented these to you, but the reason we wanted to have this discussion as we're moving out of this seamless summer and back into a paid and reduced, we haven't looked at our cafeteria pricing since 2015 and 16. Next year, we are due for our triannual child nutrition review. One of the things they look at is this formula, as the state is famous for, called paid lunch equity. We're quite a bit below the paid lunch equity price that the state would recommend us to be at. So we just wanted to have this discussion tonight. We'll be moving forward and presenting some information to you probably by the end of the week about some price increases for lunch at the secondary and elementary school and a one-time price in breakfast. It's important that you have that because if you're somewhere, you don't have to be exactly at the paid equity, but if you're far below it, you get noted on it. I don't know what that means exactly because we've always been pretty close to it, but I think it's something that we have to look at because next year we will be in an emergency one-year contract with Whitson's, but the year after we will be required to go out to an RFP for that service. And one of the keys to that RFP, as it was in 15 and 16 when we talked about the paid lunch equity, was that if we're not in that neighborhood, it may be a deterrent to bidders bidding. So that's why we proactively want to have this discussion, hopefully set the prices for the next 3 years before the end of this school year, and then not have to worry about it again for a few years.
And the price increase, it won't affect the students that have free lunches, correct?
No, the free and reduced prices, well, free is free. Isn't there a commercial free for something? I remember seeing that. And reduced will still remain the same price. This is only pertaining to paid meals. So we will present the information to you by the end of the week for further discussion and hopefully an agenda item at the 17th.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions? No. Thanks.